Joining us now, as usual, here on a Tuesday morning, the good doc, Dr. John Braccio from Regional Psychological Services in East Lansing. We're going to talk about how to build stronger friendships, which is pretty important in more ways than one here in these days, these times that we're living in. And Dr. Braccio joining us now on the other end of our line. Good morning, Doc. How are you?
Well, Rich, always nice to talk to you, the times you're in for Dave. And I think we're in an age, it's an interesting age in relation to friendships because persons are marrying later, they're choosing not to have children, they're choosing to have one or two children. They're in situations where we're talking about high levels of divorce. People are often far away from their family members. And in such a situation, friendships really become important. They often take the place of those family get-togethers and family friendships that came when you had a large number of siblings or you lived in a community where there were a lot of family or people you grew up with. So it really is important to learn how to effectively cultivate friendships because, as we know, there are a lot of people that really are feeling lonely and feeling isolated. So I think if we're going to have friends and we want to cultivate them, there are certain things we can do that clearly can lead to a positive outcome in relationships. You know, one would be having empathy, trying to understand friends, trying to understand what people are living and what their experiences are, trying to have this empathy for them. Also have healthy boundaries. Any relationship, it's really important that the person have a level of fairness that each receives. And I think always being authentic to yourself also in a friendship, meaning you give credence to your thoughts and feelings. Honesty is critical in the relationship, and that we have a true caring and platonic type of love that allows us to be there emotionally in the best and worst of times for persons. We try to celebrate a friends of the events of times that we spent together and really kind of cement the friendship over the years, sense of confidentiality, that we're not going to betray the person. So these are really the types of things that relate to friendship. They're similar to a mate if we're with a partner, obviously a spouse or someone that we have as our a partner, if we will. But a friendship, a little different, but also you need the same types of ingredients in terms of loyalty and having the friendship really develop. But this is a time to do this, and I think people that are alone and not really faring well, if you will, socially, emotionally, they really need to take a look at what does it take to be a friend and really try to sort this out. Because as Ralph Waldo Emerson said, in order to be a friend, you have to be a friend also. So it has to work both ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And, some of the things you mentioned here about, the choices that people may make in terms of marriage and having kids. Here we're living in a time here of COVID where access to people and things in general is limited. Kind of talk about the challenges there and just maybe how much more important it is to build stronger friendships over things that maybe that you have no control over, based on what's going on here with COVID. Just talk about the challenges and what people can do to kind of get a better grasp on situations like what we're in right now.
Well, Rich, there's no question COVID is having a real negative impact on relationships at all levels. And I do believe people that are isolated, at least isolated to some degree, which most of us are, then I think it is important to reach out even to friends that we've had in the past, or if we can even find some persons online that are involved in groups and things that we are interested in. And now churches are kind of coming back together in terms of opening. So I think we have to reach out. And I think a lot of people, while isolated, they really have gone too much into an isolation where they're really not reaching out. And I understand why. I don't think anyone expected this was going to keep going on and on and on and on. So I do believe for our emotional our mental health, it is really important that we have human contact. And if we can't have it physically right now, certainly we can do it in terms of through, FaceTime, through Zoom, through Duo, just a regular phone conversations with people. So I do think it really is important we reach out But when we do this, we have to be aware that a friendship goes both ways. We can't just be calling someone, unloading on them. We have to be there in the good and best, good and the bad times. In fact, Walter Winchell, you might remember him, an old famous in terms of a radio person, actually, and he's the one who made a comment: a good friend is one who walks in when the rest of the world walks out. Mm-hmm. I think that's kind of a good way to really, look at a friendship. And I think that a lot of times people don't really realize that. So I think we need friends, we need relationships, and it's kind of the world with less children or no children, or in a world that people are moving. Like, I'm not from this area. I believe you're from Ohio, I believe. So people are from many different areas. And when people go places, if they don't have family, they don't have a spouse, or even if they do have a family and a spouse, if relationships are not that solid, then I think it is important to have family, have people, whether it's where we work, whether it's where we pray, whether it's in areas where we find people that have similar interests to ourselves. But friendship is critical anytime, but I think it's particularly crucial during the time of COVID, or during times when we're going into communities and areas that we are not from originally. With the university town, that's how I ended up here in the East Lansing area, and it was because of Michigan State, not necessarily because of Lansing, or East Lansing for that matter. So in these situations, we do need to find people to interact with, to have friendships with, and enjoy people. Just enjoy communication and find people similar to ourselves. As Cicero, the great Roman statesman, said that a friend is another you, and I think that is really true. And Maya Angelou made a comment, too, about a friend may be waiting behind to strangers